everybody, for listening to The Kennel, a Cleveland football podcast, episode 126, heading into week 5.
That sounds right.
Of the NFL season.
Yeah, second quarter of the season.
The Browns going against the Colts, and the Colts will be coming to First Energy Stadium.
12,000 fans.
Arbitrary numbers. Whoa. Anyways, Browns versus Colts. We're going to be breaking down the game.
Are you a science denier?
I am Gian Trotta. This is Stevie J. And the Kennel. We're here. What's up, dude? How you doing?
I'm doing quite lovely. I'm very much so looking forward to this game. A few of my friends are going. One of my friends asked if I wanted.
For real?
Yeah, one of my friends asked if I wanted to get in on some tickets, and I was like, yeah, I would definitely be interested. And then like the next day, he's like, yeah, man, so we got box seats. I was like, oh, no way. He was like, no, I mean like me and my guys. And I'm like, oh, that's weird because you asked if I wanted to go, and then like you said, we got box seats, so it just sounded like
got me all excited.
Just really sounded like I was going.
Deceived me.
Yeah. So, anyways, have fun.
Enjoy the box seats.
Have fun with that, bro. Very cool. Anyways, I think it's still going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch the game. I love watching the game on TVs. I don't give a shit. No, I'm pretty jealous. I'm not going to lie.
I would be jealous. I enjoy both, but definitely going to the stadium is always fun. Anyways, don't forget
like it'd be a big pain in the ass right now, so I'm not that mad about it.
There might be a lot of restrictions and everyone who's going,
everyone who's going, props to you, man. Those are true fans. All 12,000 people in that stadium, at least 98% of them are goddamn true fans. And
I wouldn't be afraid of going, so I don't know. I'm proud of you. Good job for going to the game.
No, I'm just saying, like, those are true fans to deal with the crap and go, and it's going to be awesome. I'd say 2% are getting dragged along, but definitely 98%.
Fair enough. Before we get too ahead of ourselves, episode 126, we're here to bring you the Browns versus the Colts game preview, and then we'll do our quick predict segment. Kennel Quick Predicts. Check it out on Twitter. Or leave us your Kennel Quick Predicts once we release. And then, of course, subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on social media. We're The Kennel on YouTube now. Facebook, Twitter, Football Kennel, all the above. All right.
Yeah, you're doing great. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification bell. That's like really important because then when we post a new video, you'll get a notification. And
it says we posted.
Yep, and then you can drop what you're doing and
watch the Kennel.
Yep, and just get right into it. Maybe put on headphones. If your job gets
in the way, quit it.
You can strip into the nude, put on headphones, turn off all the lights. Just an idea I had. You don't have to do it that way, but that might be the best way. And then if you're on Apple Podcasts or whatever, you can subscribe and do some shit too. So that'll be great. Anyways, I think
you're on another level today.
I am on another level. I'm drinking a bunch of green tea. I'm fired up. That's right.
Of all things.
Of all things.
Usually it's like a Miller Lite.
Well, I put 2 packets in.
Whoa.
Yeah, I put 2 packets in yours too, so be careful.
Oh my gosh.
That's right, brother.
This is going to be a fiery episode. Since we're in the dog pound, let's start with quick bites.
We need to do a sound segment.
It should be a segment now.
You should make it.
We will.
Will we?
We will.
Okay, so you guys are going to see it right now.
Anyways, quick bites.
Did we do the thing? We did the thing.
We did the thing. Cool. We'll start with Myles Garrett winning AFC Defensive Player of the Week with 2 sacks, a forced fumble, and 3 tackles versus the Cowboys. Of course, you know that by now if you've been listening to us or like watching the game.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly listening to us.
Yeah, Myles Garrett is a beast. I love Myles Garrett. Did you watch the latest Building the Browns, episode 10? Did you get a chance to check that out?
You sent it to me. Yeah, it was.
Did you watch it?
Oh, no, I did not.
Oh, okay. I got being deceived again. You really made it sound like you watched it.
No, I didn't get a chance to.
Okay, well, it's really good. I think you should watch it. It covers the first 4 games of the season.
Oh, nice.
And part of that was, Myles Garrett kicking ass and him talking about being awesome and stuff like that. And he said how after the first game, he didn't make enough of an impact. In the second game, he still felt like he didn't make enough of an impact. So going into the third week, he really challenged himself to do something. And then he obviously carried on that momentum into the fourth week.
Us getting kicked in the teeth by the Ravens might have served a bigger purpose than just us being embarrassed.
Yeah, and even in that episode as well, Odell talks about it being a mulligan and just moving on and just chalking it up to what it is, and they know they're better than that. And he's like, the Ravens are a really great team. So they were able to quickly move on, which is something we haven't seen in the past, something you typically don't see from a young team, something you never see from a Browns team. And since then, 3 games in a row. What more can you ask for? First 3-game winning streak, and I don't know.
It really looks like we have an offensive identity, which is huge for
huge.
the Browns in general.
And Myles Garrett's a leader on this team. Through his first 4 games, he has this is like the next gen stats stuff.
Yeah.
So he's forced 6 turnovers, which is as many as Bud Dupree of the Steelers and Shaquille Barrett of the Buccaneers had in 2019 when they led the NFL in that category.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're telling me over the course of an entire season?
Yes, sir. When they led in 2019, they had 6. They tied with 6 combined. TOQBP is what the labeling is, which is really just like forced turnovers.
Okay, so that's not just like you forcing a fumble, but that's your play leading to like an interception or shit like that.
It must. Yeah,
I was reading about this, which makes sense. So he has 6 total turnovers forced through just 4 games. No other player in the NFL has more than 2, and the leaders in this season. Yeah. And last year the leaders forced 6. So through 4 games, he has as many as anyone else did in an entire season last year through the quarter of a season.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd argue that's
unbelievable stuff.
I'd argue that's broken.
Like padded stats. Yeah,
that doesn't even
meta if you play Call of Duty.
Yeah, the advanced analytics are always absurd, but this is something that I can't even really wrap my mind around.
No, it's wild. Yeah, I know.
Especially when you consider he didn't even really do anything in the first game. Yeah, so this is really in
3 games, really. And if you consider what he said in building the Browns, I would say 3.5, although I would measure his impact in game 2 as being sufficient. We did win, after all.
Holy shit.
So that matters. No, yeah, he's dope. But switching it over offensively to another quick bite is the Browns and their rushing ability. So through the 4 games, we have 818 rushing yards total, and that's 4th most through the first 4 games of a season over the last 30 years. Only 2 teams have achieved that. It's the 2005 and 2006 Falcons with Michael Vick, and then last year Ravens with Lamar.
So teams with running quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Which we don't have.
Right.
So we're doing it as a true
running football team, old school style, running it down.
And probably the best stat of all, the Browns are 2nd in turnover differential at +6.
And all these things are going to be extremely important with the loss of Nick Chubb going into this game against arguably the number 1 defense. Really, they're 4th overall in defense, but the Colts defense is no joke. They're top 5.
Well, they have the number 1 pass defense, and I think it's the number 4 rush defense. We'll get into that here in a second, so I might be jumping ahead. I tend to do that. But what we're seeing,
you nailed it, actually.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing with the Browns here are the fundamentals that lead to a good football team
that we've never had or seen from this organization for
leading the NFL in rushing.
Yeah.
And I think we have the 5th rated, again, we'll get into this, but the 5th rated run defense, and we're 2nd in turnover differential. And I think we're leading the NFL in turnovers forced and points off turnovers. Those are categories that if you're leading in, you're winning most of your games.
The turnover battle one is huge.
We're usually -1 million.
Oh, yeah.
Roughly.
It's a huge problem.
-30.
Almost every Browns team.
Oh, forever.
Over the past.
Didn't we have when we went 0-16, 1-15, like the most turnovers, like the worst turnover differential ever in a season?
Who was our quarterback? I forget.
Kaiser
had like an unreal amount of
over
turnovers.
20 interceptions, 10 fumbles, like just broken.
Baker kind of threw a lot.
You need to calm.
Bygones be bygones.
Yeah, calm your tits.
Bygones be bygones.
Calm your tits.
Perfect segue, I think. Calm your tits into the game preview against the Colts.
That is a perfect segue. Are you saying the Colts have tits?
Game preview. 180. What's up?
So Browns versus the Colts. They're heading over here to First Energy Stadium. Browns are 3-1. Colts are 3-1.
Both on 3-game winning streaks.
Some would argue this is a extremely important game for both teams, almost a defining game for whether 3-1 is a real representation of what these teams can do.
Yeah, and that's a really good way of putting it, because we were talking before the podcast started about who the Colts have faced. And we don't like playing this game too much because when we beat the Washington football team, everyone's in the Bengals, everyone's like, oh, it's just...
Well, that's what I was going to say is we literally have faced the same criticism up to this point. So.
Yes, but... the fact that what I've been hearing is, well, they've held their last 3 opponents to 11 points or less and like braggadocious things like that, which is wonderful. I mean, those are 3 NFL football teams. But
their defense is no joke.
The defense is no joke, but if you look at it, it's the Bears who have a bad offense, juggling between Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles, and the Jets, who are the worst team in the NFL.
Literally a train wreck right now.
Yeah, and they held the Vikings to 11, but earlier in the season, the Vikings were kind of a mess. They seemed to have rebounded.
Was just not there.
Yeah, they seem to have rebounded a little. Now, how much
they
of that?
They didn't rush over 100 yards, and I'm pretty sure Kirk Cousins threw like 3 interceptions.
Yeah, now how much of that is the Colts defense? How much is that is the Vikings having troubles? I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, obviously.
Like a healthy combination of both.
But what you said before we started, which I think is fair, is the Colts have yet to face a team with the kind of offensive line that we have and the kind of weapons that we have.
Yeah.
So this is it sounds crazy saying this. This is I call me crazy, a bigger test for them than it is for us.
I agree and disagree. I think if you look at it from their perspective, yes, the challenge is greater. But from our perspective, the Browns have never really been here before. I mean, ever in at least my history with them. So I think.
I guess my point is this: the Washington football team has a better defensive line than the Colts have. Obviously, the Colts have a better defense, but we've already faced one of the best defensive lines in football. We got cream, but we did play the Ravens. And on top of that, the Cowboys offense is much better than this Colts offense. So we've already had some legitimate tests where I would argue the Colts have not.
You're right. You're right about that, but there is something that bothers me about this Colts team overall. Offensively, they're pretty much built to destroy us. Our biggest hole is passes up the middle to tight ends, and that's their leading receiver in terms of yardage, and he's found the end zone twice. That's their tight end, Mo Alley-Cox, who has 11 receptions, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns. So they could potentially shred our defense that way. And then obviously you mentioned it to me before the episode, their running back, Jonathan Taylor. You think he's a real threat. I think he's definitely decent rookie coming into his year, coming into his own. But I think defensively, they're going to give us trouble as well. Being one of the leading defenses against the run, and us being down Nick Chubb, potentially going into this game with a hobbled Kareem Hunt, having to depend on the other guys. I don't think we're going to be able to take advantage of them in the run game as much as we took advantage of the Cowboys. And then defensively, they generate a lot of interceptions, turnovers in general, but interceptions and sacks. They generate a lot of interior pressure with their one defensive guy. What's his name? DeForest Buckner, their defensive tackle. He's a beast, and he's built to shut down Baker Mayfield. He creates incredible interior pressure, and he's really long, has really long, lanky arms. Great for batting down the ball from the pocket. So
I'm less concerned with the interior pressure because Baker is prone to escape on the outside anyways, and we're running a lot of bootleg action. But
his issue has always been with being wrapped into the pocket and not being able to handle interior pressure. That's his biggest weakness.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I feel confident with the fact that we have a competent coach who schemes away from those things. So I would say expect to see, I mean, we've already been seeing a lot of it, but expect to see more designed bootlegs, more designed rollouts than ever if they do have a lot of interior pressure. But I'll also say this, their interior offensive line is no joke with Joel Bitonio, J.C. Treader, and now the monster that is Wyatt Teller.
For sure. No, don't get me wrong. We are also built well, and we are built to handle these kinds of things. And that's what I'm saying is this is a true testament for both teams to show what they've got, because this team, it really is built technically to stop what we've been doing. So if we can overcome that, that'd be huge for us.
Yeah, and I'm feeling good about it. Speaking of Wyatt Teller, I don't know if we mentioned this last episode.
We did.
I'm going to say it anyways.
The rating, the PFF.
According to Pro Football Focus, he's the highest rated guard through 4 games.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, he's got like a 96.4.
Through 4 games, the highest rated guard ever.
Yeah, pretty wild. Pretty wild stuff.
So we have the best right guard in the history of the game. I'm just saying.
Get out of here.
Something to consider.
Through 4 games.
I'm just saying.
Anyways.
Something to think about.
And also, we talked about this last week. We did touch on this. The fact that he's supplemented by a bunch of great linemen. Arguably the best right tackle. Arguably the best left guard. Really good center. Rookie left tackle that's coming into his own really looks like he belongs.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
So it makes your job easier when you have those guys supporting you.
Oh, for sure. No, it's beautiful.
Let's get into the Colts offense. Let's start with the Colts offense because you
should we back up and cover these injuries real quick?
Oh yeah, probably.
That'd probably be wise, eh?
Probably.
So we've had a lot of guys on the injury report, but everyone's starting to get healthy. I was a little worried because we saw Ogunjobi and Sheldon Richardson not practicing on Wednesday, but as you told me, they were limited today, and from what I've loosely read, it looks like they're going to be on pace to play. And
it looks that way.
Need the Colts have one of the best offensive line in the NFL, and I know their rookie running back Jonathan Taylor hasn't produced much yet. He's on my fantasy team. This is a situation where if you're missing your 2 starting defensive tackles, they have the one guy Nelson, best left guard in the NFL, Quentin Nelson. You want to have your starting defensive tackles when you're going against one of the best offensive lines.
Totally, yeah.
So I'm glad that they're getting healthy. I hope they're good for game day.
We did place Kadero Hodge on the IR after his hamstring injury, which happened during warm-ups of the game against the Cowboys, but. Mind you, IR doesn't mean out for the season anymore.
It's 3 weeks now, yeah. So I have to retrain my brain.
Unlimited amount of players, 3 weeks, and they can bring back an unlimited amount of players.
Yeah, you hear IR and you're like, damn, that's at least 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And now it's,
and then on the good news side is it looks like we're getting David Njoku back, and it looks like we might get Greedy.
Maybe.
He was out there on the field, but
that's good.
With this type of injury, they said they want to take their time.
Greedy. I like Greedy. I want him to be healthy.
You know who's another guy I like that we haven't seen, and we'll talk about him more later when we get into our quick predicts, but Rashard Higgins, man.
I know.
He was inactive last game, which, I mean, you brought up a good point. The Kadero Hodge injury didn't happen until they had already announced inactives. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, we knew Kadero Hodge, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he was already kind of hobbled going into this game and then kind of aggravated that injury. We know that Kareem Hunt was hobbled by a groin. So you would think, and then obviously that was right after JoJo, not my dog, the wide receiver kick returner.
Just to clarify,
just to make sure you guys are, we're on the same page.
I think what's kind of working against Higgins in those situations is Higgins isn't a big special teamer.
Sure, no,
where Kadero Hodge and Peoples-Jones are,
and then obviously Hilliard, which they brought on for the practice squad and activated him. So what I'm saying is they're overlooking Hilliard because of what you're saying. Players that...
You mean Higgins?
Higgins, yeah. They're overlooking Higgins, and they've done nothing but speak well about him. But obviously they're choosing players that can bring more than one, that can fill more than one position. So whether it's running back and kick returner or wide receiver kick returner, just kind of having that balance where you could kind of rotate guys and use guys in different ways.
Well, and you got to think too with Higgins, he's kind of directly backing up kind of the Jarvis Odell situation. So I believe that if, knock on wood, one of them were to have to go out for a game or two or whatever, I think Higgins is the one that is activated and sees a significant amount of playing time.
Maybe, but even in the games where he was activated, he was overlooked by Kadero Hodge in the wide receiver game. Mm-hmm. So my big question is, where is he, right? And do the coaching staff really like him, or is it just, coaching talk because you're not going to reveal that you don't actually like a player? But we did sign him to the 1-year contract, so it seems like, it wasn't like for Higgins. Much, but I like him too. I'll say
this, mark my words right now, there's going to come a game late in the season where a big play needs to be made, and it's Higgins.
Probably. It'll be legendary. It'll be like the Broncos game.
I'm making a prediction right now, and when it happens, we're going to pull this clip and play it so everyone knows.
We'll try, I guess.
That I'm psychic.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Going into the Colts offense, I want to get into the game.
What about the one thing with the Colts defense? Kind of important.
Oh, super important, right. Yeah. Darius Leonard might not suit up.
Which is huge. He said he's going to try to go. He's got a groin injury. He didn't practice yesterday or today.
And he said he can go without practicing. But it's really up to the coaching staff and the training staff and the conditioning people. And
he's a dog and a leader of that defense. So losing him hurts a lot. I'm not going to feel bad because we don't have our best player, Nick Chubb. So I'm not going to be feeling bad for you that you're missing your best defensive player. But we're missing our best offensive player. So sucks to suck.
So what I'm talking about, when retracing back to what we were talking about when we're talking about the Colts not facing anybody with the amount of talent, not only have they not faced anybody with the amount of talent, they really don't have a lot of talent offensively besides really the strong offensive line. Obviously, Phillip Rivers is a known name, but he's basically a veteran game manager at most, and T.Y. Hilton. But T.Y. Hilton's on later years of his career.
He's battled a lot of injuries,
Yeah.
and he's on the backside of his career.
They
for
do
sure.
have Jonathan Taylor, rookie, which he's definitely growing to be something, and then they have the tight end who's been doing well. But even doing well means 11 receptions, 194 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and that's their leading receiver. You know what I mean?
That's what, 3 catches a game for 50 yards.
Right, not much. So then Jonathan Taylor, 65 carries, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3.8 average. You feel confident that he's gonna have a breakout game here soon?
Let me briefly talk on Jonathan Taylor. So he is a threat. He is a threat out of the backfield. This is a guy who weighs 230 pounds and ran a 4.40. He can break tackles. He's kind of like a Chubb. He's like a Chubb Jr. as far as how he's built, as far as strength, speed, his ability to make people miss in space, and his ability to lower his shoulder. He's someone who played at Wisconsin and ran for over 2,000 yards in consecutive seasons. And he's absolutely no joke. The coach has said as much that he looks like, even as a rookie, looks like a man among boys sometimes. And they lost their starting running back, Marlon Mack. They were going to be splitting the two of them. Marlon Mack went out for the whole season. So now it's the Jonathan Taylor show. They have a couple other guys in there, Needham Himes and another running back who can also make an impact. But Jonathan Taylor is definitely their guy. And the reason he makes me nervous is because he's someone who can do like what Chubb does and bust an 80-yard play out of nowhere.
Sure.
He has the capability to do that at any second.
Has he though?
He has
so
not
far
yet.
This season.
No,
Okay.
he has not yet, and it's extremely true.
Against the number, and has he played any defense of the caliber of the Browns' current 4th against the run? Maybe the Bears.
Yeah, the Bears have a really good defense,
They're up
so
there.
that's
They have
legit.
a great defensive line.
And the Vikings defense is solid. Jets, Jaguars, not so much.
Not so much this year.
But again, rookie, preseason, so it's hard to say. All I'm saying is I see Jonathan Taylor going one of two ways in this game. I see him having a game like Zeke had last week where he has, 10 carries, 40 yards, maybe kind of rips a big one in there, like a 20-yard run. But other than that, is pretty contained and we're able to get ahead and he becomes less of a factor. Or my other fear is that this is a game where it's a close game and he gets a lot of carries behind that offensive line. I know our defense has been better against the run, but I think a lot of it has to do with us getting ahead in games and not forcing teams to run a lot. I'm not saying I don't believe in our run defense, but I don't think we've really proven it yet. So I'm just concerned that with that offense and with his breakaway speed, that he could rip a big one. And if he ends up with 20, 25 carries in this game, I'm just pretty confident he's going to end up going over 100 yards, which is great for my fantasy team. And I'm not saying that's going to cost us the game or nothing like that. But I think he's, as far as their offense goes, I think he's the biggest threat. Because if you look at Phil Rivers, he's only got 4 touchdowns through 4 games.
The one game that he had to put on his back was week 1 against the Jags, and he threw for over 300 yards and I think had like 3 interceptions. So the game he had to put it all on his back to win, he struggled, had a bunch of turnovers, and then they lost the game. So you're right. Phillip Rivers has been doing nothing but managing the football game, which is, it works.
Yeah.
He's had 3 interceptions, 1 fumble. So he has as many turnovers as he has touchdowns. He's only thrown for 984 yards. Has been sacked 3 times because they do have a good offensive line.
And
they only had 1 sack against the Bears were only able to get 1 sack against
Because
offensive line.
Not only is the good offensive line and Phil Rivers Phil River. I'm committed to calling him that. I got to make it my habit. Not only do they have a good offensive line, and Phil River is a veteran quarterback who knows how to be sneaky in the pocket, but he gets rid of the ball quickly. So he's someone that's hard to get to. So even if you're a Myles Garrett who can get to the quarterback in just under 3 seconds, he's probably already thrown the ball.
Possible.
That's what makes it.
Especially to the tight end up the middle.
Yep, that's what makes it tough. So, Phil Rivers likes to go to the running backs, the tight end up the middle. T.Y. Hilton's a sneaky vet. Paris Campbell, the guy from Ohio State, has some speed on the outside. But I agree with what you're saying. They don't have a lot of talent on offense. Nothing like compared to what we just faced compared to what we just faced in Dallas.
Nothing.
Like this should be a game where our defense can do a lot better than it did last week.
I think so. I think
our defense is going to want to. We have a prideful group.
I agree. I think the numbers don't really show what our defense is capable of. And I think they'll take to that. They'll want to show that want to show that off, and they're going to compete against this defense. And I think really this game will come down to the turnover battle. I think that's the most important piece of this game is who's going to win the turnover battle, which defense is going to generate more turnovers, or hint, and then which on the offensive side, which offense is going to take care of the ball more. That's the two most important parts.
Yeah, and it's an extension of that. Who's going to win the turnover battle? Who's going to win the time of possession battle?
Oh, super important.
Because I think whichever team's able to win both those battles is going to win the game.
Yeah.
I don't see this being a blowout. I see this being a very physical game that starts in the trenches and ends in the trenches and becomes a very close game.
I think you're probably right about that.
And I think it's going to be beautiful. A little side note, random thought I just had. I love playing the Colts because I just love the colors of our jerseys and how they contrast one another. The blue and the white and the brown and the orange. I just feel like those, just a very, very nice colors coming together. Random thought. It reminds me of like the Houston Oilers, the white and powder blue, and we would play them all the time. The Browns would, and that was just a good look. Just a random aesthetic thing that has nothing to do. I was imagining the trenches and I was picturing them slamming into each other. So that's what made me. That's what made me think of it.
On to the Browns offense and what they're capable
dismisser.
of. Baker Mayfield has been playing way better than Phillip Rivers, but some would argue that they're doing the same thing. They're being quote unquote game managers. Baker Mayfield hasn't thrown the ball a bunch, 72 out of 115 attempts for 729 yards, but he has 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So, yeah, just blowing the lid off compared to Phillip Rivers.
Well, and for his touchdowns, he has thrown less yards than Phil Rivers.
Yeah, but I'm talking about touchdowns, and then turnovers only has 2 interceptions,
which is nice.
Yeah,
no fumbles, right?
Nope. Yep, correct.
Wow, no fumbles. That's big.
Been sacked 6 times,
which isn't bad. I'd like to see it even less.
I think offensively, our game plan should really be to focus on the run game.
Shocking.
Protect the football.
Bold claim.
Win the time of possession.
Bold claim.
On the rushing side, our running game, obviously we lost Nick Chubb, who was at 57 carries, 335 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a 5.9 average.
I'm so sad about that still.
Very sad.
I'm still not over it.
But look at what's behind him. Kareem Hunt with 50 carries, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5.5 average. And he's capable of getting right up to 5.9, just like Nick Chubb. He was the leading rusher at one point during his career. He also adds on 8 receptions, 42 yards, and 2 touchdowns on top of everything he's been able to do. And then, we might see some action from Dearness Johnson.
I think we're definitely going to.
Obviously, had a huge impact. Overall in the season, he has 14 carries for 100 yards, but he had 13 carries for 93 yards against the Cowboys, and he's running at a 7.1 average.
Pretty insane.
Which is great. And yeah, just absolute insanity. And then Dontrell Hilliard's there as well as support, passes out of the backfield, which, by the way, Kareem Hunt can handle on his own. He could be an every down back.
Oh, he is an every down back. The only concern is he's been limited all week because of the groin injury. He didn't practice on Wednesday, and then today he was limited. So
yeah, but he was limited against the Cowboys.
I know, but he only got 11 carries in that game. Dearness Johnson actually got more carries than Kareem Hunt in that game.
Correct, 13.
So don't be surprised if we see a lot of Dearness Johnson. And honestly, we talked about this in last episode. Dearness Johnson looks nice with the football.
Dearness Johnson almost looks like a mini Kareem Hunt, to be honest with you.
It's hard to tell the difference between the two of them.
We do have another running back. Just kidding. He's a wide receiver. Odell Beckham.
Oh, zing, dude. Wow,
but he
dude,
had 2 carries for 73 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown against the Cowboys. So we know that we can use him on those end arounds and a lot of little sweep plays and a lot of trickery plays to get him the football in different ways.
Yeah, and don't look now. Odell has 4 touchdowns through 4 games.
Yep.
That's kind of cheating because he had 3 and 1, but I don't care.
Yeah, no, it's not cheating. It's total.
You know who needs a touchdown? Jarvis Landry.
I predicted he would have a big game last week. I was wrong. I think he'll have one this week.
Okay. He's actually leading the team in receptions.
Wait, no. I don't think so because I benched him. So I don't think so. I'm trying to be consistent across all of my leagues.
The nerve. Jarvis had 17 catches on the year for 191 yards. So he's leading the team in receptions. Odell's leading the team in receiving yards. And then you got tight end Austin Hooper sneaking in there, 12 catches. Only 96 yards in those 12 catches, but he's made some nice ones for first downs. He got a touchdown last week.
Yeah, he found the end zone last week.
And we're getting David Njoku back.
So we have weapons.
Harrison Bryant looks awesome at the tight end spot.
Yeah.
And I think how we've been using these guys has been exceptional.
The biggest part, yeah.
And we haven't been turning the ball over.
No.
We've had, a couple fumbles, stuff like that, but only a couple interceptions, been limited with the fumbles. And I think in general, this offense can not only take care of the ball, and you see a lot of teams that want to like really run and take care of the ball, and they end up kind of slowing down. But Stefanski has schemed ways, and the whole coaching staff has schemed ways for this offense to be explosive with the running game and to feed off that and have crazy play action.
And we kneel on it. You know what I mean?
No.
Oh, lean on it. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was like,
I meant we lean on it.
like we kneel because we win. So victory formation at the end. Okay.
We lean on the run. We lean on the run, and we don't like move away from it when things get a little tough.
Oh, we're built on it.
Yeah.
We're built on it.
Super
all day.
important.
So let's get into
The defensive side of the ball.
a lot going on there.
There is.
The Colts are far from anything to sneeze at. They're one of the top defenses in the NFL. We already kind of mentioned it, but they're number one against the pass. And again, they haven't faced, any crazy quarterbacks. If you look at, they dealt with Gardner Minshew. They did do Kirk Cousins, who started off this year terrible. The Jets and Sam Darnold, who are a disaster. And then last week with
Nick Foles
and then the Chicago Bears, which
the Bears.
What are you going to do there?
They didn't do anything offensively.
Yeah, in all fairness, the Bears were 3-0 going into that game. So I mean that's significant.
Yeah, but not because of their offense.
Oh, definitely not because of their offense.
So, yeah, but either way, the Colts defense is yielding the fewest points, passing yards, total yards, and like you said, is fourth in run defense. So, yeah, no joke. And they have a lot of pieces. We talked about two of them. One potentially might not make it, but DeForest Buckner being, in my opinion, their biggest defensive piece against our team. Because he's really built to strike at our weak points offensively.
Which is a pain in the ass. From a secondary standpoint, though, I know they have forced a lot of interceptions, but
no fumbles.
Looking through the roster, I'm just not.
They just don't have the name recognition that we do. You're right. Talent. This is what I'm talking about.
I'm just not that intimidated. You know who they do have? T.J. Carey. Remember him?
I do.
T.J. Carey's 30 now.
Getting there.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
That's weird. 7
interceptions, though. No fumbles, but 7 interceptions. That's pretty good.
Yeah, another thing to be concerned with is Justin Houston coming off the edge. He's a sack artist as well.
They have 10 sacks amongst all the defensive players. So they can create pressure. They can get to the quarterback. That's
a real threat. But looking through the roster of the secondary, Justin Houston is leading the team with 3.5 sacks. That's pretty significant. That's almost a sack a game. But yeah, looking through the team, I mean, there's not a lot of guys that really jump off the page at you and make you nervous. And I'm convinced that if we're able to play Cleveland Browns football, which finally means something, and run the ball, control this game, play field position, don't get crazy. And if you watch that Building the Browns episode, you'll see that I think it was even in the Cowboys game or the Redskins game, Stefanski's talking to Baker on the sideline and he says nothing crazy here. Don't be afraid to check the ball down, protect the football. Whatever, telling him that on the sideline, and I'm just like, yes,
smart,
yes,
we're smart.
I know it's so simple, but just based on what I've seen, so I'm.
You don't know what I've seen.
You don't know what I've been through. So honestly, I know we're facing a 3-1 team who's very well coached, who has a veteran quarterback, top 5 defense, etc. But man, I got to be honest, I feel kind of good about it.
Yeah.
Which makes me more nervous.
Hilariously enough, and we'll get into our predictions here, but I originally was going to say that the Browns were going to lose this one.
Oh, changing your mind?
Well, yeah, after reviewing the stats, after looking at everything that we've talked about during this episode, the amount of talent that they have versus the amount of talent they faced, I really think, it's going to be a tough game. Don't get me wrong. And it's going to be a close one, I think. But we're capable. I think we're totally capable. We're contenders, man.
Yeah, I'd say we're more than capable. This would be a big statement game because if we win this game, we're 4-1, which doesn't even compute in my brain.
No.
The Browns being 4-1.
It's pretty wild.
Beating a 3-1 team to become 4-1 sounds pretty insane. So that's kind of hard to fathom.
It doesn't make sense.
But not to have loser mentality. But if we lose, what's nice about being 3-1, if we lose, we're 3-2. We still have a winning record.
Sure.
And for the first time in a million years, the Browns can lose a game and still have a winning record.
And it doesn't feel like it's the season's over.
No, but with that being said, it's a home game, and we need to be able to protect our stadium.
Definitely.
And we're coming into this game hot. They're coming into this game hot. And I would. It's very interesting because, like you said, they've allowed the least amount of points in the league this year. Over the past 3 games or 3-game winning streak, 11 points or less in every game, 11 twice and 1-7. And over our last 3 games, we're averaging 39 points per game.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to see what our offense does against their defense.
When an unmovable object comes across an unstoppable object comes.
When an unstoppable force
meets an unmovable object.
Yeah.
It only took 3 tries.
Only 3 tries. Very proud of you. Really? Yeah.
Well, you didn't. You were struggling too.
I got it right away.
After we did it twice wrong.
You're out of your goddamn mind.
You're out of your time for quick predicts. Did we even talk about our defense?
We could talk about our defense a little bit.
Well, yeah, I think I mentioned this earlier. This is a prove it game for our defense because I think our defense is capable of more than they've been able to show. We do struggle against the pass. We're 30th against the pass. We allow 310 passing yards per game. That's rough. But
we did allow 500.
We allowed 500 to Dak Prescott against the number 1 passing offense in the league through 4 games, the Cowboys. So I think that's a big part of it. And you know, we stopped Ezekiel Elliott. We stopped Joe Mixon. We stopped we didn't really stop the Ravens. We did stop the running attack. They destroyed us through the air, but we didn't let them really run on us that much. The Ravens, which they're primarily a running team. And then who else? Did we play anybody else that matters?
Ravens, football team.
The football team they didn't run on us either, but they don't really have anything like.
Yeah, my concern is we haven't had teams run a lot on us this year, which makes me a little nervous.
Hard to do that when
you're kicking so much ass.
Offense is dropping 30 plus points a game.
When you're kicking so much ass,
literally again, except for the Ravens. Oop, Bucks just scored.
Oh yeah, Monday Night Football, huh? Who did they score? Who scored?
Mike Evans? Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. Evans. I think he's
maybe the Bears aren't that good defensively.
No, the Bears are pretty good, man. Bears are pretty good, man. So I'm looking this up really quick. I want to look at our rushing defense, team defense. Okay, cool. So yeah, Colts are number 1 in yards per play allowed. They're only allowing 4.4 yards per play, which is pretty insane. Steelers are at number 3, something to consider. Rushing yards per attempt for a defense. The Colts are number 6. Oh, wow. Browns number 8. We're only allowing 3.9 yards a carry. 8th best in the NFL. I was expecting us to be, not in a good place on that list. And here we are. Bucks are actually number 1 rush defense in terms of yards per carry.
Oh, wow.
Tied with the Steelers, which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, Colts have the 6th best rush defense. Browns have the 8th best rush defense. That is pretty insane.
Well, yeah.
The other thing I wanted to mention,
I have
too.
here that the Colts are actually the 4th.
No, in terms of yards per carry.
Okay.
Not total yards, sorry.
Makes sense. No, makes sense. Makes sense, for sure.
Also, what's interesting, and we mentioned this before, I've noticed the Browns have not been penalized as much as usual. And I just want to point out that on the season, we've only had 21 penalties through 4 games, which is good for 12th in the NFL, but it's worth considering that the Steelers and the Titans have only played 3 games rather than 4 to this point, and they're 2 of the teams under us. So really, we're borderline top 10 in least amount of penalties, which is, again, the opposite of what we're used to. We're always the most penalized team by a mile.
Definitely last year. Remember the Titans game?
Oh, my God.
We kind of straightened it out near the end, but I think we still ended up being top 5.
And worth noting, nope, I'm lying. But yeah, so that is impressive.
With that said, final thoughts on what the Browns need to do to win it against the Colts before we get into our hashtag Kennel Quick Predicts.
I think we have to do what the Browns do. The Browns have to run the ball, not turn it over, control the time of possession, and then on defense, I think we're still gonna get beat a little bit on defense, but we have to continue to make the big play when it matters. The strip sacks from Myles Garrett, the interception from Denzel Ward, make those big plays when they matter, and I think that's going to be all the difference. Philip Rivers has shown in his career that when he's down and he's pressured, he will throw it into tight windows. He will tend to overthrow receivers. And those are the situations when you have a Myles Garrett, when you have a Denzel Ward, those are the situations we need to get him in. So I wouldn't be surprised. And again, this is like our script. I wouldn't be surprised if we're aggressive early and try to get a lead so that we can peel our ears back and get after Phillip Rivers, and on the offensive side, pound the rock. I mean, that's our game. And I wish I had something new and exciting to share with you, but I think that's our game, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
That's a fair point. I think my final thoughts are very similar. I think the most important part offensively is if the running game falters, Baker Mayfield needs to protect the football. He can't do exactly what you just said Phillip Rivers tends to do has done throughout his career when the pressure is really coming down on him. So Baker has to avoid turning the ball over, has to manage the football game, take care of the football, and extend the time on the field as much as possible if the running game isn't generating the amount of rushing yards that we've been able to do so far, with Nick Chubb obviously being out. That's an issue. And then defensively, we need to generate pressure. We need to cause turnovers. I think the biggest part against playing against a great defense, the most important part is the turnover battle. That's what always matters. And when we're playing a team that basically has the same MO as us, rush the quarterback, cause turnovers, manage the football game, time of possession, don't turn the ball over. Your quarterback's kind of a game manager. Not saying Baker's there, but his role in this offense has been kind of more of take a step back, let the running game work the magic, and just take care of the football. Throw accurate passes when I need to. So as long as he can keep doing that and our defense generates some turnovers and some pressure, some sacks on Phillip Rivers, puts him in tough positions, we definitely have an opportunity to win.
I thought that was very elegantly put. Proud of you. You've come a long way.
We have as a podcast.
You especially.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Weird. Anyways, quick predicts.
Quick predicts.
All right, quick predicts. Use the hashtag Kennel Quick Predicts on Twitter, and then leave us a comment on YouTube or whatever. We'll find it at some point. If you want to participate, follow along with our quick predicts. We'll post a tweet when we release the episode, so you can use that as
copy and pasta.
Yeah.
It'll also be in the YouTube description to make life easy.
Yeah.
And if you can't figure it out past that, then you're not allowed to participate.
And then obviously, if you participate, you may win some points, and we'll shout you out, and you'll win points that don't matter. And Kennel Quick Predicts.
Very valuable
Start
points.
with the most important one: Myles Garrett sacks.
I'm going 1 in this game.
Smart.
I want 5. If you refresh your page, you'll see that my predicts have already been entered.
I did this last time. Thank you.
No problem. Here to help. We use Google Docs. Highly recommend. Although Google is stealing our souls. Anyways.
Our data and
all of our data.
Potentially our souls as well.
Yeah, potentially along with it. Hey,
anyways,
I'm going 1 sack. I can't believe he's got 5 through 4 games. I mean, I can believe it. Really, it's 5 through 3 games. But as we talked about earlier, one of the best offensive lines in football, a quarterback, a team that wants to run the ball, and a quarterback who's a veteran who likes to get rid of the ball really quickly. So I'm going to go 1 sack for Myles Garrett.
I'm going with 1 sack as well. Leaning a little bit more on the conservative side for this one because, like you mentioned, we're facing a really tough offensive line, which we really haven't to this point. So 1 sack for Myles Garrett. Next, who will win the turnover battle? The Browns or the Colts? We both mentioned that this is a pivotal part of this game and potentially the winning key.
Yeah, both teams have forced a lot of turnovers, but both teams want to protect the football. I'm going Browns. I think we win the turnover battle. It's probably something tight. I'm not sure we'll have a flawless game in terms of turnovers, but I think we'll be able to get Phil Rivers on a couple, and we win the turnover battle.
Well, I might shock you and maybe some of our listeners with my choice here. I'm going to go with the Browns.
Wow, dude, you got me good. You got me good,
Browns
dude. Wow.
I think they're going to win the turnover battle because they have to. Otherwise, they lose a game. Literally, I think it's that simple for this one.
Yeah, it tends to work out that way. Moving on to the next one. Baker Mayfield, interceptions. We didn't do this one last week, but he's gone 2 games now not only without an interception, but without a turnover at all. So does he throw a pick in this game?
I'm going to go with yes. Only 1, though. I think we're not going to be able to avoid it against this type of defense. And I think inevitably he'll make a mistake, just throw an interception. But overall, I think we'll win the turnover battle. Baker will redeem himself after 1 interception, manage the game effectively. We'll win. Oh. And then maybe we'll win the game.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
I said I was going to keep predicting at least one until I saw him go at least a game without any turnovers. And he's gone 2 games without any turnovers. And now I understand in the NFL, turnovers are inevitable. Every quarterback throws interceptions. Baker's got 2 on the year, 1 in each of the first 2 games. He's now on a streak of 2 games without interceptions. And with that being said, I think the streak continues, baby. No turnovers.
Fired up.
No turnovers for Baker Mayfield. No interceptions. He takes care of the football. I think this is another game in which he only has to throw the ball 20 to 25 times for 150 to 200 yards. Browns fans will bitch online that Baker needs to do more. And I'll ignore them as I continue to. And
dance around my fire with my 4-1 team.
Exactly.
Ooga booga.
Ooga booga.
Oh.
All right, next one.
I think this was interesting. We touched a bit on Rashard Higgins and whether we think he's going to get more action and where has he been throughout these 4 games. Over under Rashard Higgins 1 snap. So basically, will he play a snap or not?
I'm going to go under. I think he's inactive again. I know we have the Kadarius Hodge injury, but I think we kind of, when Njoku coming back, that's another body that we have to make room for to be active on game day. And I think we kind of run it back with the same thing we had last week, just adding Njoku into the mix is my prediction. And I'm not super stoked on this prediction. I love Rashard Higgins. I want to see him play a lot, but I'm going to take the under on this one. I think he continues to remain inactive.
So what would you take if you think he's just going to have 1 snap?
What do you mean?
Like, let's say I think he's just going to have 1 snap. Isn't that that can't do over and under?
I mean, you can just call it even.
I'm going to call it even. I think
he's going to have 1 snap?
I think he has a single snap. I think he is active, has a single snap.
Okay. On what kind of play?
Like a passing play.
Just 1 single passing play?
Just catches it for a slant or something.
Oh, he plays in 1 play and gets the ball thrown at him?
Yeah.
Wow. Bold prediction, Captain.
Yeah.
I'm into it, though.
So even.
All right,
even.
Cool. Good for you. And now the biggest one, the most important one of the week. Final score, week 5 for the Browns. What are you feeling? I'm
feeling a Browns win, baby.
Yes.
And I kind of alluded to me feeling a different way earlier before I did a little more a bit more research on who the Colts faced and what they were able to do, both defensively and offensively against those teams. And I think the Browns can get the win. I think the Browns will be getting the win 26-21.
I like it. Close game. 26 is a weird number. You're pretty good with those with your predictions. You had the scoregami the 1 week that you predicted, which didn't work out. But I'm going to go with, we talked about, and everyone's talked about how the Browns scored over 30 points for 3 consecutive games for the first time since 1968 or something insane? Was that that's the stat it was related to?
I mean, it's in the docs.
In roughly a million
4
years.
episodes ago. So
I think that streak continues. I think we make a huge statement. People are questioning whether this offense is legit. If we can rely on the running game, what are we going to do against a real defense? And I think we come out and we go over 30 points again, and we win the game 31-24.
Wow, epic prediction.
That would be insane.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe we'll score 49 again.
Either way, a Browns win makes me happy. Just to remind you guys, as I often do during our quick predicts, when we did our record prediction from episode 120, the overall schedule prediction for the Browns, Stevie predicted a win against the Colts with our overall record being 4-1. So if we do get the win, you're not only correct in your original prediction, you were also correct in our overall record up to this point at 4-1. And I predicted a win with the Browns record being 3-2 because I predicted we would have a loss against the Cowboys last week. So, but yeah, just always fun to bring that up.
I am doing the best.
I was up until now.
But now you're not.
If you get it right, you're right. But until then, I am the victor. So with that being said, don't forget to use the hashtag Kennel Quick Predicts on Twitter or comment below on YouTube your Kennel Quick Predicts, and we'll shout you out if you get some points.
That's right, baby. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited for this game. Also, we didn't even talk about the games in the second slot, so it's 4:25, whatever, for the game. Oh,
5.
Whoa, dude. Whoa, what day is it, man?
Anyways, the Browns, the Colts, next Sunday.
This coming Sunday.
You're right.
In just a couple days or a day. Depends when you're listening to this. Or it already happened.
So follow along and make sure you tune in and hit the bell, subscribe, notification thing for YouTube, or, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or whatever your favorite podcast apps are so that you know when episode 120, whatever is next. 26, 27?
27. Tune in after the game.
For the game breakdown or game review.
We'll probably have the episode up Monday morning. Worst case scenario Tuesday, but probably Monday. You need to turn your notification bell on because we kind of suck at
inconsistent.
that. So with the bell on, you get the bell. You strip down.
Exactly.
You strip down into the nude.
Pop your headphones on.
Turn off all the lights. Headphones on.
Record reaction videos.
Yep. Well, that's...
You don't have to show your nudity.
You can send those to Gian.
Personally, at my email, Gian@thefootballkennel.
That's not your email.
No, it's not.
Okay, we gotta go. We'll see you guys soon. Go Browns.
With too much green tea. Go Browns.